Buckle up, because what you're about to see will blow your mind. We're diving headfirst into a wild world of overloaded vehicles so outrageous, they'll have you doing a double take. From gravity-defying stacks that seem to laugh in the face of physics, to sheer madness on wheels, where weight limits are just a suggestion. These aren't your average delivery runs. We've rounded up 20 of the most insanely overloaded vehicles ever caught on camera. And trust us, you've never seen anything quite like this. Prepare to be shocked, amazed, and maybe even a little concerned, as we explore just how far people are willing to push the limits of transportation and common sense. Let's get into it, because this is one ride you won't forget. Bus for All, India's moving Tetris. Ever heard of the hypercrowded buses in India? It might sound like the setup to a joke, but trust us, it's very, very real. In certain parts of the country, public transport isn't just crowded, it's an extreme sport. One glance at the photos, and you'll do a double take. People hanging off the sides, sitting on the roof, clutching to the back like it's the last chopper out of a war zone. No ladders, no railings, just sheer willpower and balance. It's not about seats anymore. It's about survival of the stickiest. Every inch of the bus becomes fair game. Claimed. Fenders? Occupied. Tailpipe? Probably someone's footrest. It's a full-on human game of Tetris, and the only rule is, if you can hold on, you can ride. What's even more wild? No one bats an eye. This has become so normal that people barely notice a bus bursting at the seams with 50% of its passengers outside the bus. In fact, many just casually join the crowd, even if it means doing acrobatics just to get a foot in the door or on the bumper. And the result? Some of the funniest, most jaw-dropping scenes you'll ever see on the road. People twisted like pretzels, packed in like puzzle pieces, yet somehow everyone's smiling, cracking jokes, and making it work. It's chaotic. It's hilarious. And honestly, it's kind of incredible. Because in the middle of all that madness, one thing stands out. The unshakable determination to get where you're going, no matter what it takes. Overloaded fishing boat. A disaster waiting to happen. This next sight is as alarming as it is common. A fishing boat so overloaded, it looks more like a floating accident than a functioning vessel. Sadly, scenes like this are far too frequent, and they come with serious, life-threatening risks. Let's dive into why this isn't just a bad idea, it's a ticking time bomb on water. First, the most immediate danger: instability. When a boat carries more weight than it's designed for, its balance and buoyancy are thrown out the window. One shift in cargo, one unexpected wave, and the entire vessel can flip in seconds. Imagine trying to balance a mountain of bricks on a single toothpick. That's what this overloaded boat is doing, with human lives hanging in the balance. But the danger doesn't stop there. Overloaded boats also wreak havoc on the marine environment. Here's how. Extra weight forces the boat lower into the water, increasing drag, burning through fuel faster, and causing heavier pollution. The engine strains, the risk of mechanical failure rises, and suddenly, the crew is stranded in open water, miles from help. All for the sake of squeezing in a few more crates. It's not just a safety issue. It's a warning sign of a deeper problem: lack of regulation, pressure to overfish, and dangerous shortcuts. Because when boats like these head out overloaded, they're not just endangering themselves. They're putting the entire ecosystem at risk. This image should serve as a wake-up call. The ocean doesn't forgive carelessness. And when you gamble with the sea, you rarely get a second chance. The risky loaded truck, a battle of wills. Next up on our list is one that highlights the sheer recklessness of overloading, where the driver seems blissfully unaware of the disaster waiting to happen. It's as though the truck itself is about to say, enough is enough. The footage rolls out like a high-stakes action sequence, and you can practically feel the tension building with every passing second. This truck? Completely overloaded with cargo piled high, to the point where it looks more like a ticking time bomb than a vehicle. You almost get the sense that this is a showdown. The truck against its driver, its load, and the very laws of physics. It's a suspense-filled spectacle. You can't help but wonder, will this chaos end in disaster? The truck sets off, every bump on the road making it seem like a wild roller coaster ride, yet somehow, it stays upright. Against all odds, the truck pulls off a miraculous feat, powering through its journey as if it were a boss level in a video game. But here's the million-dollar question. Will this risky ride make it to its destination unscathed? Or is this just the start of an inevitable disaster waiting to unfold? The outcome? Only time will tell. And that's where you come in. What do you think will happen next? Speculate with us in the comments, because, honestly, this ride could go anywhere. Hilly Helix, a pickup pushed to the edge. If you thought overloading was reserved for trucks and heavy-duty haulers, think again. Even the humble Toyota Hilux, known for its toughness and reliability, can only take so much. And in this jaw-clenching scene, we see it pushed far beyond its limits. What you're looking at is not just overloading, it's vehicular cruelty. This poor Hilux, bent under the pressure of an absurdly heavy and mismatched load, looks less like a vehicle and more like a wheeled sacrifice rolling uphill in protest. Imagine being in the position of that pickup truck. Your suspension screaming, your frame groaning, every bolt praying to survive one more bump. Even if this was a full-size cargo truck, the weight would still raise eyebrows. But on a Hilux? This is downright abuse. The image speaks for itself. A chaotic pile of materials stacked without order or mercy. It's hard to tell what's worse, the sheer volume of cargo, or the complete disregard for basic safety. And the big question is, what was the driver thinking? Where was the limit? Or was there ever a line to begin with? Because from the looks of it, this vehicle might not even make it to its destination. Not without risking a serious breakdown, or worse, a catastrophic accident. Overloading isn't just about stretching capacity, it's about stretching logic. And sometimes it snaps. This scene is more than a one-off oddity. It's a reminder that every vehicle has its breaking point, and ignoring that can put lives, cargo, and public safety at serious risk. So next time you think your vehicle can handle just one more item, think of this poor Hilux. And maybe, just maybe, respect the weight limit. Stuffed, when a taxi turns into a ticking time bomb. For our next jaw-dropping moment, we head to Africa, where overpacked taxis are unfortunately all too common. But this one takes the cake. Captured in a single unforgettable photo, this vehicle is bursting at the seams. With people crammed shoulder to shoulder, and personal belongings stuffed into every available inch. It's less of a ride and more like a game of human Tetris, and there's no pause button. But just when things couldn't get any tighter, they get a whole lot wilder. Because suddenly, the police show up. And that's when the real chaos begins. In a split second, panic erupts. Passengers begin scrambling out of the vehicle, some diving into the surrounding bushes, others vanishing into the nearby fields in a desperate attempt to avoid capture. It's mayhem in motion. Dozens of people trying to flee all at once from a vehicle that was barely holding them in. One wrong move, one slip, and it could have ended in tragedy. Unfortunately, luck didn't ride with them that day. Their escape was short-lived, and their journey was abruptly cut short. This moment may look outrageous, maybe even amusing to some, but underneath the chaos lies a sobering truth. Overloading is dangerous. This isn't just about cramming in a few extra passengers. It's about putting lives at risk. It's about the lack of safe, reliable transportation and the desperate choices people are often forced to make. And that brings us to the end of our countdown. A wild, eye-opening ride through some of the most overloaded vehicles ever caught on camera. From miraculous motorcycles to gravity-defying trucks, one thing is crystal clear. The limits of transportation are being tested every single day. Stay safe, stay smart, and until next time, don't overload. The miraculous motorcycle, a moving marvel on two wheels. Have you ever seen something on the road that made you question reality itself? Well, brace yourself, because this motorcycle is nothing short of a miracle on wheels. At first glance, you might think it's just another example of hardship, but look again. What you're really seeing is a mind-blowing act of balance, bravery, and family determination. Yes, you counted right. Approximately 10 people are somehow packed onto one motorcycle. Let that sink in. Human beings on a single bike. How is that even possible? Well, this isn't your average two-wheeler anymore. With bizarre, but genius, extensions welded to their side, this motorcycle looks like it's grown wings. Each side holds 3 children, calmly seated on what appear to be homemade side platforms, crafted from whatever materials were available. In the driver's seat, likely the father, focused and determined. Behind him, a woman, possibly the mother, holds on, surrounded by little ones. And if you think that's all, look again. 2 more kids are perched right on the fuel tank, up front, as if the bike itself is cradling them for the journey. The motorcycle leans slightly under the weight. Every bump, every turn feels like a gamble. And yet, they ride on. Together. It's risky. It's shocking. It's strangely inspiring. Because beyond the chaos, this overloaded bike tells a powerful story of family unity, of resourcefulness, and the lengths people will go to just to stick together. But let's not forget the sobering reality behind it all. This isn't just a jaw-dropping sight. It's a loud wake-up call. Scenes like this reflect the urgent need for safer, more accessible transportation systems, especially in places where families like this have no other choice. So as we marvel at this miraculous machine, let's also reflect. Because every overloaded ride carries more than just weight. It carries a story. Overloading gone wrong, when gravity strikes back. Coming up next is a harsh reality check. A chilling reminder of what happens when people push their luck a little too far on the road. This isn't just a cautionary tale. It's what happens when overloading meets a mountain road in Pakistan, and disaster is the only destination. Picture this: a massive truck, groaning under the weight of a dangerously overloaded cargo, crawling along a narrow, winding hill road. Now, take a wild guess. What do you think happens next? The truck tips over. We're not talking a minor scrape or a wobble. This is a full-blown, steel-twisting, load-smashing overturn. It's the kind of scene that makes you wince, even if you're just watching it on video. And the sad truth? It didn't have to happen. This entire disaster could have been avoided with just one smart decision, knowing when to say, enough is enough. But someone chose to test fate, and fate wasn't having it. What's both heartbreaking and heartwarming is what comes next. Locals rushing in, working together, trying to haul the giant truck back upright. The spirit of community shines bright, no doubt. But here's the question that lingers. Where were these helping hands before the truck hit the road? Why didn't anyone speak up then, when the cargo was being piled high, way past the point of safety? Because by the time metal meets asphalt, it's too late. This wrecked truck isn't just a broken vehicle. It's a symbol of carelessness, of ignored warnings, and missed chances. Let this be a powerful reminder. Overloading isn't just risky, it's a ticking time bomb. And every driver, every bystander, every witness has a role to play in preventing scenes like this. Just hanging on, clinging to hope and mettle. When we talk about overloading, most people picture packed interiors, tight spaces, no breathing room. But what if there's no space left inside, and people still need to get on? This is where the true meaning of overloading hits a terrifying new level. A powerful photo taken in Kenya, 2010, captures a scene that's hard to forget. A train so overcrowded, it looks like a moving wall of human limbs and desperation. With the inside completely full, passengers cling to the outside, literally. Some hang onto windows, others sit on the roof, balancing between motion and mortality. One wrong move, one sharp turn, one gust of wind, and it could all end in heartbreak. It's the kind of image that stops you in your tracks, not just because it's shocking, but because it forces you to confront a difficult truth. For many people, danger is a daily part of the commute. They're not thrill seekers. They're not daredevils. They're survivors, risking everything just to get from point A to point B. This haunting scene is more than just a photo. It's a poignant reminder of the desperate lengths people go, simply to reach their destination. Even if it means hanging on to a moving train with nothing but hope and determination. And maybe that's the most powerful image of all. A human being just hanging on. The crushed truck, a weight too much to bear. Trucks are built to carry heavy loads, right? But what happens when that weight crosses the line? When it becomes too much for even the toughest of vehicles to handle? In this jaw-dropping footage, we see a compact truck barely able to handle what's stacked on top of it. An enormous mountain of sacks, 4 times its height, piled so high, it looks like the truck's on the verge of collapsing under the sheer burden. Just looking at this, you almost feel like shouting, "Somebody get this truck to a mechanic." As the video progresses, you start to sense the tension building. At the 31-second mark, it's clear. The impending disaster is unavoidable. The truck, desperately trying to keep its balance, is tilting to one side. And you know what comes next. The inevitable happens. The truck crashes into the corner of the road in a spectacular fail that leaves everyone around watching in stunned silence. This moment is a painful reminder that even the most robust vehicles have their breaking points. And while the driver might not have seen it coming, the weight, far beyond the truck's capacity, was simply too much to bear. The crowded Nepal bus, a risky ride. Picture this. You're on a rickety bus, winding through the rugged terrain of Nepal. The road's more like dirt tracks than highways. Every bump sends you flying in your seat, and just when you think it couldn't get worse, you realize you're packed in with dozens of other passengers, like sardines in a can. It's a perilous ride. The kind that seems to tempt disaster at every turn. What makes it even worse? This is all too common in Nepal. Buses bursting at the seams, passengers crammed together, and even people clinging to the roof, holding on for dear life. It's an image that's uncomfortably familiar for many in the country. And unfortunately, the consequences are devastating. Accidents involving these overcrowded buses are an all too frequent occurrence. The combination of dangerous overloading and treacherous, unstable terrain makes for a deadly mix. The hard truth? This chaos contributes to an alarming number of fatal accidents every year. Lives are lost, families are torn apart, and it's all because of the risky, overcrowded conditions. Before we move forward, let's take a moment to really reflect on the reality these passengers face. It's a stark reminder of how dangerous it is when safety gets overlooked in the name of transportation. The impossible cab, a logic-defying load. Some overloaded vehicles push the limits of safety. Others push the limits of logic. And then there's this cab, caught on camera while returning from North Korea's industrial complex to South Korea's customs, immigration, and quarantine office. This vehicle doesn't just raise eyebrows. It breaks the laws of physics, and probably a few traffic laws too. Just one look at the photo, and the question is immediate and loud. How is this even possible? Boxes and products are stacked so high, so wide, and so chaotically that the entire windshield is completely covered. Yes, you heard that right. The driver cannot see a thing. It's less of a car and more of a rolling wall of cardboard. A moving fortress of freight. And yet, somehow it made it to the checkpoint. We have no idea. Did the driver have a periscope? A drone? Telepathy? This baffling sight leaves us with more questions than answers. How was this cab even allowed on the road? How did it turn, brake, or avoid obstacles? And most importantly, how did the driver see anything at all? Whatever the case, this impossible cab takes overloading to a whole new level, where reason ends and mystery begins. We'll let you ponder the logistics of this bizarre scene, because honestly, we're still scratching our heads too. And that's a wrap on our countdown of the most overloaded vehicles ever caught on camera. What a ride! From towering stacks of cargo to jaw-dropping passenger-packed rides, we've taken a deep dive into the world of extreme overloading. These vehicles push the boundaries of what we thought was physically possible. Now, it's your turn. Which of these overloaded vehicles left you in absolute awe? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. We love hearing your reactions. As always, stay safe out there and remember, drive responsibly. Until next time, keep your seatbelts on and your loads balanced.